This is how I got real estate investing at 20 years old, and how now at 23 years old, I own $1.5 million worth of real estate with about 15 apartment units, and I'm about to buy another $1 million worth. So the first thing I did was I started investing in my education. I started reading books and spending hours upon hours a day listening to podcasts, listening to audio books. I'd done this for about 6 months before I bought my first property. So the first property that I bought was a duplex that I paid $70,000 for. So now, whenever you go to the bank to get a loan, they'll do 15 or 20% for the down payment. This time, they done 15% for the down payment of this duplex, which was about, I think it's $12,500. So I got a loan, because you have to get a loan for the rest of it. I got a loan of $57,500. I think it was about 500 a month. Now, whenever I bought this place, I didn't get an inspection, which was not a good idea. You need to get an inspection. I didn't know what I was going to do with the property. I just knew that I wanted passive income and I wanted to invest in real estate. So whenever I bought this, it was rented for $500 for Unit A and $500 for Unit B. So I had $1,000 of rents coming in every single month. So now let's figure out what my cash flow was when I first bought this place. So if you got $1,000 of rent, you've got to subtract your loan amount. So your loan amount was $500 a month. Insurance was about $100 a month. Taxes was about $60 a month. And then fixing things and maintenance and your capex about $200 a month. So that puts me all in at $860 a month for all of my expenses. Now remember, I had $1,000 of rent. My expenses about $860. So my cash flow on this, when I first bought it, my cash flow was, we cash flowed about $140 every single month. So no, that's not, $140 isn't life changing. $140 isn't a lot of money, and really, it probably wasn't even worth what I done. But that $140 every single month completely changed the way I thought about things. So after I got my first $140, and I got my first rent check over here, I thought, wow, people are going to pay me every single month just for owning a piece of real estate. So what I ended up doing was, you've got to get a plan for what you're going to do. So I listened to more audiobooks. I listened to Ken McElroy and Robert Kiyosaki. I listened to the real estate guys. I listened to Brandon Turner. And I thought, well, what would this rent for if it was fixed up? The property's in really bad shape. It had carpet. It had old wood paneling. The appliances was old. It had gas heat, and it had window air conditioners. So I thought, what could I do to increase the value of this place? Well, like I said, I bought it for $70,000. I owed $57,500. So I figured out, hey, I could rent this. If I fixed it up, my new rent would be $1,800 a month, or $900 for A and $900 for B. Well, I thought, what's it going to cost me to be able to rent this for that much money? So I already knew the property needed a roof, we put mini splits in. We put new LVP. We ripped out all the carpet. I built a new back porch on it. Let's see. We put in a shower. One of the units had the upstairs unit had a clawfoot bathtub. It didn't even have a shower. We put a new shower in. So now these people have electric heat and air. They've got new LVP flooring. The back porch helped a little bit, but really for the upstairs person, that shower helped a lot because they didn't have one before. So now, or didn't have one before, but now, so now we're able to get $1,800 a month in rent. Now, my debt here was $57,500. Now, to fix all this up, I got a new loan of $26,500 on top of that $57,500. Yeah, I think it's about right. It was a little bit more than that. I think it's about $28,000. Well, I guess it's $27,500. My new loan, whatever it was $85,000 was my new loan. So now, my new loan ended up being $85,000. So what am I going to cash flow now that I've got these rents up to $1,800? And what is this going to go to? So now, where I bought this at, it was a small town about 30 minutes from where I live at. I know better than investing there now because I put about $27,500 into it, and the property, after I'd done that, the property was worth only about $100,000. So I didn't really increase the value too much. Really, just what I put into it ended up being what it was worth. But I had $1,800 in rents. So now let's go and let's see what my cash flow is going to be. So if I've got $1,800 a month in rents, my new loan payment is $700 a month. My insurance still about $100. My taxes are still about $60. Still cost me $200 a month to fix things. Well, we're at $800, $860. We're at $1,060 of expenses. But now my new rent is $1,800. Well, $1,800 minus $1,060. My new cash flow was $740 that I started making every single month from this property. Now, that's a lot more than the original $140. It's still not life-changing, but that $740 is way better than the $140. So after I started making that, I mean, that's about $9,000 a year of income just from one property. Now, like I said, we didn't increase the value too much, but we increased the income almost 5 times what the income was before. So now, that was the first property I bought. I still have it today. It's still cash flowing about that same amount. But after that, I knew that I just had to buy more. After I started making about $700 a month off of those, I knew that I had to buy more real estate. So that was December 2020. No, December 2022. It took me all the way until April 24 to buy my next property. So it was almost a year and a half. My next property I bought was a fourplex. So now that fourplex, I didn't have any money to invest really. So I had to save some money. But the fourplex, I actually used an FHA loan to buy it. So with an FHA loan on a fourplex, but you have to live in it, you can only put 3.5% down, and you get a 30-year loan. So most of the time when you buy apartments on these commercial loans, you get 15, 20, or 25-year loans. Well, on this one, I was able to get a 30-year loan and only put 3.5% down. So now let's see what the number was on it. Like I said again, $245,000. Now that $5,000 was closing costs, so we actually paid $240 for it, but we got $5,000 back in closing costs. So I actually only put 3.5% down, which was I think $7,500. So now I put $7,500 to buy $245,000 worth of real estate. So now, again, I got a loan for $237,500. Now, when I bought this one, I knew that two of the units needed completely rehab. The floors wasn't in very good shape. It had old hardwood floors. The drywall had cracks on it. It was in really bad shape. We took down a wall on one of the units to open up the living room to make the unit seem bigger, make it more appealing and stuff. We redone a shower. We've done a lot of things to this one, but I knew that I was going to have to do it. So, like I said, we bought it for $245, $7,500 down, $237,500. So now, after that, you've got to think, well, what would it cash flow if I did buy it? Now, on an FHA, like I said, you have to live in one of the units. So when I first bought it, it was rented for $750 in a one-bedroom apartment, plus $675 on a two-bedroom apartment, plus the one was empty, and the one I ended up moving into was empty too. So that puts you at, we had about $1,325 of income when I first bought the property. So $1,325. Now my payment was, and this one includes taxes and insurance since it's an FHA loan. So my payment was $2,100 a month, plus the trash is about $60. Plus I pay about $150 in utilities, and then maintenance, capex, about $400 a month. So this is our total expenses. So now we got $2,100, $2,160. Let's see here. $2,310. We got $2,710 every single month of expenses. So as you can see, that's a lot smaller than that. Or this is a lot bigger than that is. So we're at $1,325 now. Whenever I bought it, I got that other unit done. I earned it for $950 a month. So we got about $2,275 in rents. Plus, I forgot, whenever you buy a property, this tenant was on Section 8. They let us raise her Section 8 rent $100 a month. So now, without repairs on this, which you still have to do repairs, but I was about breaking even every month with what I actually had to pay out. So I had to pay the utilities and I had to pay the trash every month. So you've got to pay that out every month. So now we were losing about $300 a month on this property, but we got to live there. So it cost us about $300 a month in rent to live there every month. But like I said, we added LVP over old hardwood. Fixing all this. We used our own money to do this. Added LVP. We put new P-tax in. Redone a shower. Let's see. We put new appliances in. So we didn't have to do too terribly much, but we did do a few things to it. So our loan was $2,375. We got it for that. We redone a couple of the units. Two of the units already had been pretty much remodeled, so all we really had to remodel was just the upstairs units. But this is what we had in rent for the first year. We had $2,375. in rent the first year. Now, year 2, whenever we bought it, so we bought it, we was at $23.75. Now the guy that's paying $6.75, his $6.75, he moved out, and we ended up charging $900 a month, which is an increase to $225 because it wasn't to market, so we got to raise that one. He moved out. We had $2,600 a month in income before he moved out, or when he moved out. And then, after he moved out, ours that was zero, because we could re-rent it now, went to, I think we rented it for $900 too. We had $900 again. So that brings our new income to $3,500 that we're now renting this property for, that we only put $3,500 down on. So, but you still have to see what your cash flow is. So now, after he moved out, we got that raised. We moved out, we got our unit rented and his unit rented. So we got our new rent was $3,500. So now you take that new rent, $3,500, you subtract your expenses to see your cash flow. We're at $2,100. And then we had to pay trash. We've got to pay a couple of the utility bills. And we've got to pay about $400 in maintenance. So our expenses stayed the same. Our expenses stayed the same at what they was at. So they're still at $2,710. But now you've got to take that $2,710 and subtract it from the $3,500. So now that leaves you with about $790 of cash flow every single month. So now on this one, so now we had 2 properties that we were cash flowing about $1,600 on every single month. And like I said, this took about a year and a half to do. Well, I guess it took a year and a half to have them both, and then it took another year before we started making any money on this property. But we started making $800 a month from it, or close to $800, about $790 every single month. And again, as you can see, so year 1, we had about $700 in rent. We had about $700 in income. Now year 2, we still had $700, but by year 3, now we're cash flowing $1,590. So in 3 years, you're cash flowing $1,590 every single month consistently, just from owning the real estate that people are living in. Now, so at that point, we owned 6 units. Now, like we said earlier, it went from December 22 to April 24 now. Before we bought another property, it took another year. We bought another one May of 25. So we went from 2 to 6. And then in May 25, we bought 7 apartment units. We bought 2 triplexes in a house, which brought our total to 13 units. So now by May 25, we had bought these. So like I said, we bought 2 triplexes, and the house. Now the house was a little bitty house. It was on the same lot as this triplex. So we had 1 triplex, then we had a triplex and a house on 1 lot. The house was just a cottage that's on the same lot as that triplex. So now we bought all of these for $265,000. So now for this one, we didn't have the down payment. We had actually joined the Better Life Tribe and had met somebody in the tribe to do a private money loan for the down payment. So first we found the property. We found this property. We put under contract. I think it cost $1,000 to put under contract. We didn't have the money for the down payment on this, but I knew that it was a good deal, and I knew that it would be worth about $540,000 if we fixed it up, because there was 2 units that were not livable at all. They were tore down to the studs and needed a lot of work done to them to be able to rent them out. So now, whenever we bought this, there was only, let's see, there was 1, 2, 4, 5. There's 5 units rented with only 4 paying rent. So now we had 5 units that people were living in, but only 4 of them was paying rent. We had a guy that lived in one of the units on one of the triplexes that hadn't paid rent in 4 months, and the old owner had moved to Texas and just didn't make the guy pay his rent. So whenever we bought this unit here was rented at $695. This one was lived in but wasn't rented, or the guy wasn't paying anyway. This one was paying $600. This person was paying $695, and this person's house was paying $895. So we had pretty good income on it just when we first bought it. So whenever we first bought it, we had 1 unit at $695. Now $695 is for this whole triplex, because the rest of the units we had to completely rehab. So it's $695 plus this triplex is bringing in $1295, plus the house was bringing in $895. So when we first buy this, we've already got, let's see, we've already got a total rent of about $1,900 plus $895. We've got a total rent of $27.95 when we first bought this place. So when we first bought it, it's $27.95. When we bought it, we got this, but we also put another loan on it for a construction loan of, I think it was $30,000 to fix these 2 units that were completely tore down to the studs that needed complete rehabs. We put kitchen cabinets in them, brand new drywall, all new flooring. We added closets. We added new lights. One of them the bathroom needed to be completely redone. So we done a lot of work to these 2 units. Now the rest of them was in all right shape, but we done a lot to pretty much all of it. So when we first bought it for $265,000, we had to put, just like we've had to this whole time, or well, I guess the first time, we had to put 15% down again, because you can't get an FHA loan on this. So we put 15% down. I think it was about $40,000. We had $225,000 on that loan, plus $30,000 in a construction loan to fix it, to do the work, because we wanted, I guess we didn't really have any more money to put into it to fix it. So we got a construction loan to fix it. So we got both of these loans together. So now let's see what our cash flow was while we were fixing these 2 units. So our cash flow while we're fixing these was, you take $27.95, subtract our loan from this. So our loan was $1,700. Insurance was about $500. Taxes was about $300, and then about $700 a month of expenses, and then about $150 a month in water bills. So that's all of our expenses we had on these. So now we had $2,700, $3,200, we had $3,350 of expenses. So when we first bought it, we were losing about $500 a month, but really, we could have rented to that guy, but he ended up moving out. He wasn't going to pay the rent. We almost had to evict him, but luckily we didn't have to. But So we've got $2,795 minus $3,350. So we were losing about $550 every single month from this property. But we had 3 units that were not bringing in any rent at all. So since we had those 3 units and we're not bringing in any rent, we knew what would our rent be if we get all of these up to market and we get these 2 redone, because this one we bought it in May. This lease ended in August. This one just ended. So we knew that, and we had to evict this person. They quit paying their rent too. But so after about 6 months, we had these 2 units done and everything rented back to market. So in 6 months, we had this triplex was rented. We had a 2 bedroom rented for $975. We had a 1 bedroom rented for $900. We had another 1 bedroom rented for $880. So our total rent just on that one triplex was $2,755 every single month. Just that one triplex was bringing in that. Well, that's all of our expenses. Just the one triplex almost paid all of our expenses, but we had 3 more units. So now this other triplex, we had $695 still, because that person wasn't there. They had a lease still, but we rented downstairs 1 bedroom for $850, and we rented this one for $700 because that person, we had to kick them out, and the house stayed the same because that guy's still living in there too. His lease is about up, but we had all of this in income now. So we had, let's see, we had $1,395 plus $1,745. So just on these 4 units right here, the triplex in the house, we had $3,040 a month coming every month just from that, just from those 3 units. And like I said earlier, that almost pays just the one property almost pays all of our expenses on this. So we knew that this was going to be a really good deal. So we ended up getting our total rent to $5,795 every single month. So on this, we were cash flowing for a while until we refinanced it. We were cash flowing $4,445 every single month. We were cash flowing $4,445. Now, that's a lot for 7 units, but we knew what we had. We knew that we could do all this. This was the plan from the very beginning, was to get these to that $5,800 a month, because we knew that we would make almost $4,500 every single month just from these properties. Well, so now you go back. That's just one property we had bought that was paying that much a month. So if we got one property, get a different marker here. If we've got one property making $700 a month, we've got another property making $790 a month, and we've got another one making $4,400 a month. Well, in 3 years, we were cash flowing about $5,890 every single month in 3 years. And that was just our 13 units that we had. So then, after we bought these and got those done, we went and bought a duplex. So then we went and bought a duplex here. So we went from December 22 to April 24 to May 25 to December 25. So we went from 2 to adding 4 to getting a 6 to adding 7 to getting a 13 to adding another duplex to being at 15 units. So in 3 years, we bought 15 apartment units. And for this one, we didn't even have to put nothing down. So we bought a duplex for $250,000. And the triplex that we bought, one of them, we only paid $80,000 for the one that needed completely rehab. Well, it came back and appraised for $240,000. So that means we had $160,000 in equity just in that one property. Well, what did we do? The bank said that we could take one of the triplexes, put them on the same loan with the duplex, and since we had so much equity on the triplex, they would just add $50,000 of debt onto the triplex and let us use that for the down payment on the duplex. So basically, we got this duplex for free with $50,000 of equity that we had that we didn't pay for. That we used somebody else's money to buy those 7 units, and we got $50,000 that we just got to spend on this duplex. So now, the loan on it was a little higher because it was $250,000. Now this one, we done a lot of work to it. When we bought it, this one was actually bringing in $0 a month. When we bought it was empty. Both units needed completely rehabbed. So we had 2 units that were 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom units, about 1,400 square feet aside. So now on this one, it all had old carpet. The cabinets were in bad shape. All the walls, they all needed redone with drywall. We had to paint all of the walls. We done a lot of work to this one. So we put a new roof, new LVP. We redone a lot of the drywall. We redone cabinets. We redone countertops. We painted all of it. We painted all the trim. We added in quarter round. We ripped all the carpet out. We got rid of all of it. So we done a pretty good amount of work to this duplex. I think all this costed about $20,000 to do. So we bought it for $250,000, put $50,000 down. We had a loan of $200,000. On this one, we used our own money to fix it all up. So all of our debt was about $200,000. So now our loan on this, I think, was about $1,600 a month. About $1,600 a month. Our insurance was $110. Our taxes was about $250. And on this one, it cost about $250 a month to take care of it for maintenance and capex. And it's all brick, so that's good. So now this one costs us about $2,210 every single month is what it costs us. $2,210. So now what was the rent on these in order to justify paying $22.10 a month? Well, we got one side rented $1,400 a month, and we got the other side rented for $1,500 a month. So our total income on this was $2,900 a month minus our expenses, $22.10. So we were able to cash flow about $690 every single month, and this one took us about 2 months to do, to have it all rented and start making almost another $700 a month off of these apartments. So at this point, this took us 3 years, almost exactly 3 years. By this time, we owned 15 apartments. They were worth about $1.5 million. We were making $58.90 plus $690. We were making about $6,580 every single month from our apartments. Is what we started making. Now this took about 3 years to build up to this, but in 3 years we started making $6,580 every single month just from owning real estate, not counting the wealth we built. By this point, we also had about $500,000 in equity. Now, equity is what your properties are worth. So our properties were worth about $1.5 million. About $1.5 million minus $1 million in debt. We had about $500,000 in equity that we built, only using about $20,000 of our own money. So in 3 years, using $20,000, we turned $20,000 into $500,000 of equity and $6,580 of cash flow that we were getting every single month. If you want to learn how to do this, learn how to run numbers like this, and learn how to buy real estate like this, that cash flows every single month and builds equity every month, follow me for more.